Ja, plenty.
Čekaj sad.
Welcome. Go ahead, everybody, and take a seat, please. Welcome, everyone, here in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio at St. Mary's Hall. Thank you to Father Kumshi for allowing us to hold this special event here today. And thank you to all of our friends from around the world who are tuning in to today's live stream. Today marks Prešeren Day and the first event of the 2023 11th Annual Cleveland Kurentovanje Festival. Today, we are so happy to have so many talented people pulling together to create this special cultural celebration. Nearly all of our programming this year, thanks to the generosity of partners like everyone today, our very generous sponsors, grantors, and many, many volunteers, allow us to make programming like today largely free or very low cost for our events in this calendar year. Part of the mission of Cleveland Kurentovanje is to promote Slovenian culture and bring together the community. We want to make those connections between people that might not otherwise have an opportunity to exist. And we hope that events like today bring stronger connections between people and help us to explore that question of what does it mean to be Slovenian and the many layers of what culture means to us and our community. Thank you again to everyone who has made today possible. We are a volunteer-organized event, and I want to give very special thanks to the 20-plus people on our organizing committee for this year. We have countless hours spent on organizing events like this, from social media, promotions, event coordination, facilities management, and many other roles. And if you would like to be part of our organizing committee or volunteer a small amount of time with us, please visit our website, clevelandkurentovanje.com. I invite as well for all of you to participate in the rest of our events for this year's programming, and you can find the full schedule and details online as well. Thank you so much, and enjoy.
Dober dan in dobrodošli na zdaj že tradicionalnem praznovanju kulturnega dne pri Sveti Mariji Vnebovzeti v Collingwoodu. Vse vas lepo pozdravljam in vam želim lepo in kulture polno popoldne. Kot se za praznovanja v Združenih državah Amerike spodobi, bomo začeli s himnama obeh držav. Ameriško bo zapela Marija Brunner, ki je tako kot cela njena družina zelo aktivna v slovenski skupnosti. Slovensko pa bo zapel prav poseben mladi pevec, njen nečak Gašper Sedmak, ki ga bo na klavirju spremljal organist župnije Svete Marije Vnebovzete Ed Ferrazoli.
Good evening and welcome to our traditional celebration of the Slovenian Day of Culture here at St. Mary of the Assumption Church in Cleveland's Collinwood neighborhood. We hope you'll enjoy our cultural presentations with our special guest performers. As is traditional before occasions like this in the U.S., we open with the hymns of Slovenia and the United States. The Star-Spangled Banner is performed by Maria Brunner, whose family is very active within our Slovenian and St. Mary's communities. The Zdravica is performed by an exceptional young singer, her nephew Gašper Sedmak, who is accompanied by the music director of St. Mary's, Edward Ferrazoli.
Dogodki, dogodki, dogodki. Tako bi lahko na kratko opisali delo naslednje osebe, ki vas bo prišla nagovoriti in pozdraviti. Generalna konzulka Alenka Jerak je v svojem mandatu v Clevelandu postala motor mnogih prireditev, sestankov, dogodkov, razstav. Generalni konzulat pa organizacija, kjer smo vedno dobrodošli in se za nas takoj najdejo rešitve. Tudi tokrat je glavni sponzor kulturnega dne prav generalni konzulat, saj se na naših mizah najde vino in hrana. Hvala, Alenka.
Events, events, events. That's what our next guest is all about. In her term in Cleveland, Consul General Alenka Jerak has been the engine behind many programs, meetings, events, and exhibitions. She manages the office of the Consulate General and is ready to help you with any questions you have or information you need about Slovenia. The Consul General is the sponsor-in-chief of today's cultural event and has provided the Slovenian wine and treats for this reception that follows. And you can have a copy of her speech for you to read later on this evening.
Dober večer voščim vsem skupaj. Dr. Zibelnik, hvala lepa za tako lepe besede. I'm flattered. Thank you so much. Since it's a Slovenian Cultural Day, I will talk today in Slovenian. I think that our Cultural Day deserves that. And as Joe already mentioned, you can follow my speech. We translated it unofficially. So for the people, for the American friends who do not understand English, to follow it. Čez nekaj dni, natančneje 8. februarja, na dan smrti pesnika Franceta Prešerna, praznujemo državni praznik, Prešernov dan, dan slovenske kulture. Zakaj ravno kulture? Saj tega ne praznuje prav nihče na svetu. Morda res ne. Ampak, ali kultura ne predstavlja lastnost človeške družbe, ki se rojeva iz ljudi in za ljudi? Kultura smo mi sami. Je odsev tega, kako živimo, pozdravljamo, se obnašamo, razmišljamo, govorimo in pišemo. Tudi to, da smo odprti, razumevajoči in solidarni do tistih, ki jim je življenje manj naklonjeno, in da spoštujemo morebitno drugačnost. Da, tudi to je kultura, tista, srčna, ki jo nosi vsak v sebi, ali pač ne. Vendar imamo Slovenci tehten razlog za praznovanje. Kot majhen narod v težkih časih burne evropske zgodovine, brez kulture ne bi preživeli in ne bi obstali kot narod. Z njo smo ohranjali slovensko besedo, ples, navade, krepili narodno identiteto in samozavest in si pred malo več kot 30 leti izborili svojo svobodo. Zato je prav, da ta praznik praznujemo tudi kot državni praznik. Slovesno, ponosno in z dvignjeno glavo. Tako kot Prešeren, ki je, čeprav velikokrat nerazumljen in podcenjen, vedno verjel v lepšo prihodnost, svobodo in prijateljstvo. Tudi zato so njegovi navdihujoči verzi, now you can hear it, thank you, whoever is there back. Tudi zato so njegovi navduhajoči verzi besedilo državne himne naše domovine. Danes slovenski jezik govori 2,5 milijona ljudi in je enakovreden drugim svetovnim jezikom. To je velika prednost in pridobitev Slovencev, ki pa jo je potrebno negovati in ohranjati. Še posebej pri mlajših generacijah. Zato me veseli, da so sobotne učilnice slovenskega dopolnilnega pouka vseh 3 slovenskih šol v Ameriki, še vedno polne otroškega smeha, slovenske besede in pesmi. In da imamo vse več rojakov srednje generacije, ki se z navdušenjem loteva iskanja korenin svojih prednikov in učenja slovenskega jezika. Tako ne samo, da ohranjamo slovenski jezik in kulturo, ampak odpiramo tudi nove možnosti za krepitev stikov z domovino njihovih staršev in starih staršev. Vendar kljub geografski oddaljenosti domovine ne smemo pozabiti, da smo vsi Slovenci en in isti narod. Zato je prav, da kadarkoli imamo priložnost, izkazujemo spoštovanje do naše kulture, jezika ter edine države, ki jo imamo, Republike Slovenije. Morda bi bili z zavedanjem o enotnosti uspešnejši kot narod in država, bolj odprti za sodelovanje, naslavljanje skupnih izzivov in iskanje prihodnjih skupnih poti. Ali, kot je pred davnimi leti zapisal že Prešeren, komu najprej veselo zdravljico bratje čmo zapet? Bog živi našo nam deželo, Bog živi v slovenski svet. Brate vse, kar nas je, sinov slovenske matere. Nocojšnji večer bomo proslavili skupaj z vsemi generacijami tukajšnje slovenske skupnosti ter z veseljem prisluhnili njihovim recitacijam, petju in glasbi. Kar bo doprineslo k drugačnosti in popestritvi tega večera, pa so gostje, ki smo jih letos povabili v Cleveland. Slovenska igralka iz New Yorka Gaja Višnar, igralski par teatra Gigante iz Milwaukeeja, Izabele Kralj in Mark Anderson. In glede na to, da letos obeležujemo 100. obletnico smrti literata Ivana Tavčarja, mi je prav posebno čast pozdraviti tudi profesora Državne univerze Bowling Green in prevajalca Tavčarjevih del, dr. Timotija Pogačarja. Hvala vsem, da ste prišli v Cleveland. In seveda hvala vsem, tudi vsem ostalim, ki ste kakorkoli prispevani k oblikovanju nocojšnjega kulturnega programa in omogočili predstavitev slovenske kulturne zgodbe tukaj v Clevelandu. In za konec dovolite, da vas v imenu našega generalnega konzulata povabim, da skupno s kozarcem slovenskega vina in slovenskimi dobrotami nazdravimo k slovenskemu kulturnemu prazniku. Hvala lepa in želim vam lep večer.
Sedaj pa je čas, da se predstaviva tudi moderatorja. Sva že kot vsako leto Joe Valenčič in Luka Zibelnik. Joe je avtor in zgodovinar, ki je že celo življenje aktiven v clevelandski slovenski skupnosti. Je ustanovitelj in pretekli predsednik dvorane slavnih Polke v Clevelandu ter predsednik Clevelandske federacije lož SMPJ. Predstavlja Slovence v Ameriki v komiteju svetovalcev za urad za Slovence po svetu. Vsako soboto ob enih pa ima svojo radijsko oddajo na WINT 101,5 FM. Sam pa poučujem slovenski jezik v živo in preko spleta na Clevelandski državni univerzi. V moje spletne razrede se lahko vpišejo tako redni kot izredni študentje, torej continuing education. Več informacij pa lahko dobite na strani www.onlineslovenian.com. Poleg dela na CSU delujem tudi v Slovenskem muzeju in arhivu in organiziram celo vrsto ostalih dogodkov v slovenski skupnosti. Letos v okviru projekta Svetovni dnevi slovenske literature, ki ga organizira Center za slovenščino kot drugi in tuji jezik, predstavljam tudi nov, zelo zanimiv projekt izdaje stopenjskih beril za učence in študente slovenščine. Moji kolegi v Sloveniji pripravljajo različna tradicionalna slovenska besedila tako, da jih lahko berejo tudi študentje, ki se s slovenščino šele spoznavajo. Slovenci pa, poleg kulture, recitacije, radi uživamo tudi ob glasbi, tako klasični kot zabavni. Vsako leto nam klaritenisti Martin Maršič, John Nemec in Toni Hočevar približajo svetovne klasike in tudi letos bo tako. Prisluhnili bomo prekrasni žimlopediji številka 1 francoskega skladatelja Erika Satieja. Poslušajmo klariton.
So who are these two guys that you see here every year for Culture Day? Well, I'm Joe Valencic. I'm a writer and historian, and I've been active in Cleveland Slovenian community all my life. I lecture across the U.S. and Slovenia on Slovenian American topics, and I'm active on the Slovenian film scene. I'm a founder and director of the National Cleveland-style Polka Hall of Fame, the Slovenian American Music Museum, and I'm president of the Cleveland Federation of Lodges of the Slovene National Benefit Society, Slovenska narodna podporna jednota. I represent Slovenians in the United States on the advisory committee for Slovenia's Office for Slovenes Abroad. And you can tune into my Slovenian radio show every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on WINT 101.5 FM and 24/7 polkaheaven.com. My colleague Luka Zibelnik, Dr. Luka Zibelnik, teaches the Slovenian language in class and online for Cleveland State University. You can enroll in his online classes as a regular student or as part of continuing education. Just check www.onlineslovenian.com. In addition to his work at Cleveland State, Luka can be found at the Slovenian Museum and Archive. He also organizes many events with our Slovenian community. This year, in connection with World Days of Slovenian Literature and Culture, organized by the Center for Slovenian as a Second Language, our department of the University of Ljubljana, he is presenting an interesting new series of readers for students of Slovenian at every skill level. His colleagues in Slovenia are preparing books at different reading levels so that any student of Slovenian can enjoy, even beginners. Slovenians love music, whether it's classical or pop, and each year we hear from our clarinetists, Martin Maršič, John Nemec, and Toni Hočevar. And here's their interpretation of classical favorites. This evening, Gymnopédie No. 1 by Eric Satie.
Kot smo že slišali, na Prešernov dan ne moremo brez Prešerna. Slovenski pesnik je našo poezijo spravil na raven evropske, po katerem se imenujejo ulice, trgi, šole, podeljujejo se najvišje kulturne nagrade. Skratka, Prešeren je za Slovence kot potica. Nepogrešljiv in prazničen. Da pa ga bomo tokrat zares profesionalno slišali, bo poskrbela slovenska igralka Gaja Višnar. Gaja ima zavidljivo kariero kot igralka v Sloveniji, še posebej pa v ZDA, nastopala je v teatrih v New Yorku, Veliki Britaniji, na Japonskem, v mnogih filmih prejela nagrade in nominacije za nagrade za svoje delo. Tokrat jo vidimo na odru v Collingwoodu. Gaja Višnar s Povodnim možem.
Of course, it wouldn't be Prešeren Day without France Prešeren. His works brought Slovenian literature to a European level of acclaim. There have been streets, squares, and schools named after him, and awards are given in his name. In short, Prešeren is as Slovenian as potica, unique, unforgettable, and festive. Today, we'll hear a true interpretation presented by a true Slovenian artist, actress Gaja Višnar. She is well known throughout Slovenia as an actress and also in the United States. She has appeared on stage in New York City, Great Britain, and Japan, and appeared in many films. She has received awards and nominations for her work. This is her first time in Cleveland. We're delighted to present to you Gaja Višnar.
Thank you so much for this lovely presentation. It's not my first time in Cleveland. Actually, I've lived in New York since 2014, but my first beginnings in America were right here, because this is where my family moved in the beginning of 20th century. So from 2010, I would come here and spend every summer here babysitting my nieces. So this was my first American sort of intro into the American life. And I'm so honored to be here with you tonight. It is my first time performing in Cleveland and also my first time working with the Consulate here. So thank you for the invitation. I come from an acting family. So as a child, I had a puppet theater and I knew Prešeren's Povodni mož by heart since the age of 4. So other kids were playing in the school, I was reciting Prešeren. So this is what I'm going to do today. Not much changed. And I'm going to do it in Slovenian first, and then I'm going to be reading it in English. But Waterman, Povodni mož, is a legendary river spirit and usually held responsible by townsfolk for drownings in the areas. These magical creatures were also said to be able to disguise themselves as humans. So in Prešeren's famous poem, one such waterman appears as a handsome young suitor in Ljubljana's market square on the occasion of a dance, having heard of the vain local girl called Urška. Now, Urška is no demure and bashful beauty, but rather a Paris Hilton type, posing and preening and pridefully looking down on everyone. She already has plenty of local suitors who she's in the habit of leading on and then rejecting. And on this particular occasion, she has disdained to even dance with anyone at all. And then she finally meets her match. Od nekdaj lepe so Ljubljanke slovele, a lepše od Urške bilo ni nobene. Nobene očem bilo bolj zaželjene ob času nje cvetja, dekleta, ne žene. Ko najbolj izvest je danica svetla, najlepša od deklic je Urška bila. Mnogtere device, mnogtere ženice, oko je na skrivnem solze prilivalo, ker Urški srce se je ljubega vdalo. A ljubih bilo je ni vedno premalo, kar slišala moških okrog je slovet, skušala jih v mreže razpete je ujet. Je znala obljubit, je znala odreči in biti priljudna in biti prevzetna, mladenče vnemat, biti staršem prijetna, modri in zvijač bila vseh je umetna. Možake je dolgo vodila za nos, ga stakne na zadnje, ki bil je kos. Na starem sotrgu, pod lipo zeleno, trobente in gosli in cimbale pele, plesale lepote z Ljubljane so cele, v nedeljo popoldan z mladenči vesele. Bila je kraljica njih Urška Brhka, plesati nje dolgo ni volja bila. Jih dokaj jo prosi, ali vsak mu odreče, Prešerna se brani in ples odlašuje, si vedno izgovore nove izmišljuje. Že sonce zahaja, se mrak približuje, že 7 odbila je ura in čez, kar jela ravnat se je Urška na ples. Al ker se ozira, plesalca si zbira, zagleda pri mizi rumeni junaka. Enacga pod soncem mu ni korenjaka, želi si plesati z njim deklica vsaka. Omrežit ga Uršika lepa želi, zaljubljeno v njega obrača oči. To videt, mladenič se Urški približa. Al hotla bi z mano plesati, ji pravi, kjer Donava bistri pridruži se Savi, od tvoje lepote zaslišal sem davi. Že Urši kazala, pred tabo sem zdaj, že Urši kazala, pripravljen na raj. To reče in se ji globoko prikloni. Sladko mu nasmeje se Urši kazala. Nobene stopince še nisem plesala, da čakala tebe sem res je, ni šala. Zatorej le hitro mi roko podaj, glej, sonce zahaja, je njuje že raj. Podal ji mladenič prelepje roko in urno ta dva sta po podu zletela, kot da bi lahke perutnice imela, bila bi brez trupla, okrog se vrtela, ne vidi se kdaj, da pot noga udar, plesala sta, kot bi ju nosil vihar. To videti, drugi so vsi ostrmeli. Od čudeža godcem roke so zastale, ker niso trobente glasova več dale, mladenča noge so trdo zaceptale. Ne maram, zavpije, za gosli, za bas, strun drugih ko plešem, zapoje naj glas. So brž pridrvili se črni oblaki. Zasliši na nebu se strašno gromenje, zasliši potokov derečih šumenje, zasliši vetrov se sovražno vršenje. Pričjočim po koncu so stali lasje, o, Urši kazala, zdaj tebi gorje. Ne boj se ti, Urška, ne boj se, ji pravi, ne boj se gromenja, ne boj se vetrov mi prijaznih vršenja, ne boj se potokov ti mojih šumenja. Le urno, obrni pete, le urno, ker pozno je že. Majhno postojva, priljubi plesalec, da jaz se oddahnem, da noga počije. Ni blizu do bele Turčije, kjer v Donavo Sava se bistra izlije. Valovi dereči te Urška žele, le urno, obrni pete. To reče, hitreje sta se zasukala in dalje do poda spustila, na bregu Ljubljance se 3-krat zavila, plesaje v valove dereče planila. Vrtinec so videli čolnarji dereč, al Uršike videl nobeden ni več. Thank you. English, yes? Though long for its beauties Ljubljana was known, then Urška there never was any more fair. No maidens, no women were known anywhere in flowering allurement with her to compare. The star of the morning mid stars is most bright, so also did Urška midst girls most delight. Of maidens and women, both spinsters and wed, in private the eyes with hot tears would smart, when he, whom they loved, gave to Urška his heart. But she had of suitors too few for her part. Once she of a much vaunted youth was aware, she tried to entrap him in her open snare. She knew how to promise and how to refuse and how to be amiable, how to be proud. The young she enticed, to the old smiles allowed. With talents and tricks she was fully endowed. For long she kept men eating out of her hand, but met one at last whom she could not withstand. One afternoon, Sunday, on the old market square, the trumpets and fiddles and zitters all played. From all of Ljubljana, lo, every fair maid light-heartedly danced in the linden tree's shade. Among them, Queen Urška the beautiful reigned. For long she to join in the dancing disdained. Though many invite, she rejects everyone. She snubs their entreaties, and proud is her glance, with newfound excuses refusing to dance. The sun is now setting, the shadows advance. Already the 7th hour fully has passed, when Urška decides to start dancing at last. But when she in search of a partner looks round, a youth by a small yellow table she spies. No stalwart his equal is there 'neath the skies. To dance with him every girl highly would prize. Fair Urška, deciding a catch with her hook, directs on him, as though enamored, a look. This seeing, the young man approaches the maid. "Do you wish to dance?" For he has the first word. "Where Sava's swift waters with Danubes are stirred, this morning I first of your great beauty heard. Already, fair Urška, we two are well met. Already, fair Urška, to dance I am set." He speaks, and in front of her deeply he bows. Fair Urška bestows upon him a sweet smile. "I have not a single step danced yet a while. For you I've been waiting, I'll say without guile. So come, waste no time now, just give me your hand. The sun's going down and the dance soon will end." The handsome young man now gives Urška his hand, and swiftly the pair round the dance floor take flight, as if each is borne on two wings feather light. They're spinning around an ethereal sight. It cannot be seen if they touch the ground. As swept by a whirlwind, they dance round and round. In awe, the musicians now play not a sound. On seeing this side, all the bystanders stare, and hearing the trumpeters no longer blare, the youth loudly stamps, and then they hear him declare, "I care not a whit for the fiddle and bass. Let other strings sound, and I'm dancing apace." Apace have come rushing black, lowering clouds. They hear in the sky fearful thunder resound. They hear how the winds grimly whistle around. They hear rushing rivulets noisily pound. And all of those there feel their hair stand on end. Oh, Urška, fair Urška, such woes now impend. "Fear not, fairest Urška, just keep well in step. Fear not," he declares. "If the thunder resounds, fear not that the water is so noisily pounds. Fear not the strong winds with their whistling sounds. Just speedily, speedily make your feet haste. Just speedily, quickly, there's no time to waste." "I must have a rest now. I'm quite out of breath. Let's stop for a little, kind dancer, my dear." "The white land of Turkey is not at all near, where Danube is met by the Sava so clear. The deafening waters are waiting to greet you, Urška. So quickly, keep moving your feet." He spoke, and they danced on more rapidly yet. Away from the dance floor and further their whirled. Beside the Ljubljanica thrice round they swirled. Still dancing, they 'neath the loud waters were hurled. A whirlpool was seen from their boats by some men, but nobody saw ever Urška again. Thank you so much. I loved performing this here for you, and I just want to second what Alenka so beautifully said. we are a wonderful nation, and wherever I go, it's Slovenian people who are my community, my best friends, and who are always there for me. So I'm really grateful to now meeting you all and that you're my global family. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Na slovensko kulturo je dosti vplival tudi Dunaj. Do leta 1919, ko se je v Ljubljani odprla univerza, so tja hodili vsi, ki so hoteli višjo izobrazbo. Dunajski krog izobražencev pa ni bil edini vpliv Avstrije na Slovenijo. To je nedvomno prinesla tudi glasba. Danes bomo uživali v trič-trač polki Johana Straussa mlajšega. Izvedla je bosta dva nam dobro znana glasbenika, Martin Maršič in Ed Ferazoli. Martin je kot organizator kulturnih dni tu že od samih začetkov in se mu je treba zahvaliti tudi za današnjega. Eda pa že leta poznate kot organista pri Sveti Mariji v Nebovzeti. Hvala obema.
The city of Vienna had quite an influence on Slovenian culture. Up until 1919, when Ljubljana opened its university, anyone who sought higher education from Slovenia went to Vienna. Academics from Vienna had an effect on education and knowledge throughout Slovenia, but so did the music from the capital of Austria. Here is the Trič-trač polka by Johann Strauss Jr., presented by two performers we know, Martin Maršič and Edward Ferazoli. Martin has been an organizer of Slovenian Cultural Day from the very beginning, including this evening, and Ed is the longtime music director and organist for St. Mary's Church. We thank them both for performing.
Če bi vprašali Slovence, naj naštejejo velikane slovenske literature, bi po vsej verjetnosti najprej rekli Ivan Cankar. Kaj hitro, če ne takoj za njim, pa bi omenili tudi Ivana Tavčarja, enega najboljših slovenskih pripovednikov 19. stoletja. V svoji kratki predstavitvi nam ga bo približal profesor dr. Tim Pogačar z Državne univerze Bowling Green. Profesor Pogačar je slovenski Američan, ki sicer na tej univerzi poučuje ruščino, a je skozi celo življenje spremljevalec slovenskega jezika, urednik strokovne revije Slovene Studies, predvsem pa strasten bralec in raziskovalec Ivana Tavčarja. Lani je svojim 8 prevedenim slovenskim literarnim knjigam dodal tudi Visoško kroniko, Tavčarjevo najpomembnejše delo. Na kratko ga bo predstavil tudi sam.
If you ask Slovenians about who the greats are in Slovenian literature, the first name they'll probably mention is Ivan Cankar. But right after him, they will mention Ivan Tavčar, one of the greatest Slovenian storytellers of the 20th century. Dr. Timothy Pogačar will familiarize us with Dr. Ivan Tavčar. He is here from Bowling Green State University, a Slovenian American from Cleveland. He is a professor of the Russian language, but all through his career he has been devoted to Slovenian literature and the language. He is editor of the Journal for the Society of Slovene Studies. He's a passionate reader, especially of the works of Ivan Tavčar. He has translated 8 Slovenian books into English. His latest book is Visoška kronika, the Chronicles of Visoko, Tavčar's most important work. Please welcome Dr. Tim Pogačar to tell us more about Ivan Tavčar.
Thank you for the introduction. I'd like to thank the General Counsel for the invitation to come here. She just asked me if I've attended this event before. I had to say no, it's my first time. I'm really impressed. There was a happy coincidence in the program in a course I teach. Last week, students in a course on Central and East European cultures read Zdravljica and Povodni mož. And I wish they would have heard Gaia's presentation. They really would have appreciated it a lot more. Why did we do that? Because, well, we had to look at the phenomena of a national poet. Instead of Mickiewicz from Poland or Pushkin from Russia, I chose, of course, Prešeren to explain it. They liked both poems, and of course they heard the national anthem and made that connection between the importance of the culture, right, and today's independent state. Today, for me, has been a day of Slovene literature. It began this morning with a Zoom meeting with graduate students at Ohio State University. They're in theater. Luka Zibelnik was present at the meeting. They're preparing a dramatic reading of an act of Cankar's play Jakub Ruda. His plays, unbelievably, are translated for the first time into English just about a year ago. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that Cankar will be performed in English in the United States. That'll be in March in Columbus. I first got involved with this novel, the Visoko Chronicle. There it is. It's not a large novel, and many of you, I'll bet, have probably read it. If you went to school in Slovenia, for sure you read it. It's still widely read in high schools. I published the translation of the first chapter in 1989, and it took me all the rest of the years until 2022 to keep going over it and over it, and coming up with a version that I was more or less satisfied with. Translators never give up. They always return to their works. It's a historical novel, but like most all of Tavčar's works, it's at root a love story. You'll understand how it's a historical novel in just a moment. It's set in 2 places, for the most part, Škofja Loka and an estate not far from there. Could I have a show of hands? How many people have been to Škofja Loka? A whole lot, okay. So you know, for example, the the granary, the kashta, right? The town square, you've seen those places. You've looked down and seen where the two Sora rivers come together. You remember that in Škofja Loka? That's where a witchcraft trial takes place in the novel. So there's a lot of excitement in the novel. Oftentimes it's considered for juveniles, but I'm actually kind of surprised at its endurance. I got interested in Taucher as a graduate student at the University of Kansas. We were really lucky. The first lectori came to Kansas starting in the 1980s. They offered courses on the language and literature, and with Ljubica Črnivec, one of the lectori, we read Taucher's short stories. I got interested in him. Started translating the novel later, and I also liked the physicality of the novel, the geography. So one day when I was in Škofja Loka, I went out to Poljana, stayed there overnight, and there's one trip in this novel. The main character, Isidor, he takes a hike around Mount Blagos. Many of you probably recognize that. Maybe you've been up there. He takes this hike to go propose to I won't tell you if it's his future wife or not. He makes it in a day, and I wanted to test that to see if it worked. And in fact, it can be done. You have to hurry, but you can make it by nightfall to the other side, to the Daucha Valley, right? And many of you are probably familiar with that, not far from Bokin. Okay, so this is a big year for Slovene literature. Slovenia is going to be the guest of honor. That is the main exhibitor at the Frankfurt Book Fair, the premier book fair in the world. There's a lot of organizing to do, a lot of translating to do. And it's also the year, since Ivan Taucher died in 1923, that he was named Literary Figure of the Year this year, 2023, on the centenary of his death. Well known not only as a writer, but as, of course, mayor of Ljubljana, and a fellow who came from really humble origin. If you've ever driven from Ljubljana to Škofja Loka, you know or taken the train, it takes a little while, right? When Taucher went to school, he walked from Poljana to Ljubljana and enrolled in school. Vienna was just mentioned, went on to got his education in Vienna, became a lawyer, like so many Slovenes who went to Vienna for an education. And then he got into politics. He was there at the beginning of Slovenska Matica, and had a long and colorful, I should say, political career as well. So let me leave you with the first couple paragraphs of the novel that tells you it's a historical novel and also tells you that it might not have a happy ending. So it begins. I was born in the year of our Lord 1664 on the feast of St. Isidore in this very place, Visoko. My father was Policarp Kalan, also Halen, the owner of 2 holdings at Visoko, and my mother, Barbara Halenin, also Halenin, born at Suka, the second daughter of the local farmer Volk Wolfing. Father Karl Ignacy Kodeli, then pastor at Poljana, baptized me in honor of St. Isidore in the small church of St. Martin. The baptism was talked about all over the valley. I had 8 godparents, 4 male and 4 female. Such a quantity of Črnikala wine was consumed at the baptismal feast that Godfather Kožuk from Mount St. Sobota and Godfather Hmelinac from Mount St. Vulnik quarreled and almost came to bloody blows. Because of that, even then, far-sighted women would say that the child just born and baptized into the Christian faith would encounter misfortune in this world. And that he does.
Hvala, dr. Pogačar. Ni doktor povedal, da se to knjigo da tudi kupiti, ne? Tako da v Sloveniji to knjigo beremo v srednjih šolah, praktično vsak Slovenec mora to knjigo prebrati. Tako da je res ena najpomembnejših slovenskih knjig. Prihodnost, naša prihodnost je pa v mladini. In če bomo izgubili mlade, se bo slovenska identiteta v ZDA ravno tako hitro izgubila. Zato sem presrečen, da lahko napovem nastop mladih glasov učencev in učenk slovenske šole pri Sveti Mariji v Nebovzeti. Spremljala ju bosta John Nemec in Ed Ferrazoli. Zapeli bodo dve pesmi, Dobro jutro sonce in Mi slovenska smo mladina. Prosim za velik aplavz za našo prihodnost.
Our future is in our youth. If we lose our young folks, we will lose our Slovenian identity in the United States. That's why we're delighted to have the young voices of the students of the Saturday Slovenian School at St. Mary's to perform for you. They are accompanied by John Nemitz and Ed Ferrazoli. Here are two songs, Dobro jutro sonce, Good morning sun, and Mi slovenska smo mladina, We are young Slovenes. I present to you your future.
Pripravili pa smo še eno presenečenje, ki ni iz Clevelanda. S teatrom Gigante iz Milwaukeeja sta v našo dvorano prispela Izabel Kralj in Mark Andersen. Izabel je ustanoviteljica tega teatra, skupaj z Markom pa sta umetniški vodji in že več desetletij pripravljata avtorske gledališke predstave, ki navdušujejo ameriško in mednarodno publiko. Nastopila bosta s pesmimi prekmalu preminulega slovenskega pesnika, ki je na začetku 19. stoletja slovensko poezijo zopet postavil ob bok evropski. Srečko Kosovel je sicer umrl zelo mlad, a je v svojem obširnem opusu šel vse od impresionizma, ekspresionizma, konstruktivizma, pa vse do futurizma in avantgarde. Izabel Kralj in Mark Anderson nam bosta predstavila 3 njegove pesmi: Preproste besede, Majhen plašč in Svetilka ob cesti.
We have another surprise for you this evening. For the first time in Cleveland, here from Teatro Gigante in Milwaukee are Isabel Kralj and Mark Andersen. Isabel is the founder of the theater, and with husband Mark, they have been artistic directors of theatrical productions for many decades. Their presentations win over American and international audiences. They will perform 2 of the poems of a Slovenian author who was taken too soon, a poet who at the beginning of the 20th century raised Slovenian poetry to a level equal to contemporary works across Europe. Srečko Kosovel died young, but his prolific output spans from Impressionism to Expressionism to Constructivism, all the way to Futurism and the avant-garde. Isabel Kralj and Mark Andersen present 3 of his poems: Preproste besede, Simple Words, Majhen plašč, A Little Coat, and Svetilka ob cesti, The Street Lamp.
Dober večer. Rada bi se zahvalila super konzulki, gospe Alenki Jerak, za to čudovito priložnost, da sva danes z vami v Clevelandu, v središču Slovenske Amerike, in da lahko skupaj s ponosom proslavimo našo slovensko kulturo in našo dediščino. Gospa Alenka je rekla nekaj kraškega, zato sem se takoj obrnila na mojega najljubšega kraškega pesnika Srečka Kosovela. Tukaj so 3 pesmi z odličnim prevodom Ane Jelnikar in Barbare Sigar Karlsson.
Dober večer. I would like to thank the inimitable Slovenian consul, Mrs. Alenka Jerak, for the wonderful opportunity to be able to celebrate Slovenian culture with you here in Cleveland, the center of Slovenian America. I've been told by many friends in Slovenia that I'm an adopted Slovenian, but the way I feel about Slovenia, I'm not so sure. I wasn't actually born there, in some previous life perhaps. Mrs. Alenka asked Isabel if she could do something from Kras, so we chose our favorite poet from the Kras region, Srečko Kosovel. Here are 3 of his poems, beautifully translated into English by Ana Jelnikar and Barbara Siegel Carlson.
Preproste besede. Ljubim jih, te preproste besede naših kraških kmetov. Ljubim jih, bolj jih ljubim od vas, meškančkih poetov. Kakor da vidim krajino jasno na tiho zeleno dolino, kakor da vidim skale in bore, ki stražijo to dolino. Ljubim jih, njih ostro tišino, kakor raskava roka vabijo zopet in zopet me tja, izgubljenega otroka.
Simple words. I love them. The simple words of our karst people. I love them. Love them more than you, bourgeois poets. As though I could see the bright land above the silent green valley. As though I could see all the rocks and pines watching over the valley. I love them, their sharp silence, like a rough hand that beckons once more this lost child.
Majhen plašč. Jaz bi rad hodil v majhnem plašču besed, ali potem naj se skriva topel sveta v svet. Kaj je bogatstvo, kaj je razkošje? Zame je eno. Majhen plašč imam in ta plašč ni nobenemu podoben.
A small coat. I would like to walk around in a small coat of words, but hidden underneath should be a warm, bright world. What is wealth? What is luxury? For me, it is this, a small coat I have, and this coat is like no other.
Svetilka ob cesti. Kaj bi bil človek, če ti je težko biti človek? Postani obcestna svetilka, ki tiha razseva svoj sij na človeka. Naj bo, kakor je, ker kakor je, vedno je on s človeškim obrazom. Bodi mu dober temu človeku in nepristranski, kakor svetilka, ki tiho obseva pijančev obraz in vagabundov in študentov na cesti, samotni. Bodi svetilka, če niti mogoče biti človek, ker težko je biti človek. Človek ima samo 2 roki, pomagati pa bi moral tisočerem. Bodi zato obcestna svetilka, ki sveti 1000 veselemu obraz, ki sveti samotnemu, blodečemu. Bodi svetilka z eno lučjo. Človek v magičnem kvadratu, zeleno roko znamenja dajoč. Bodi svetilka, svetilka, svetilka.
Street lamp. Why be human if being human is so difficult? Become the lamp by the roadside that quietly sheds its light on man. Be as it is, for as it is, he will always have a human face. Be good to him, this man, and impartial, like a lamp that quietly illuminates the faces of drunkards, vagabonds, and students along the solitary road. Be a lamp, if you can't be human, for being human is difficult. A human has just 2 hands, but he should help thousands. So be a lamp by the roadside, shining on 1,000 happy faces, shining for the lonely, the aimless. Be a lamp with a single light, man in a magic square, signaling with a green arm. Be a lamp, a lamp, a lamp.
Hvala lepa.
Hvala lepa.
Prišli smo do zaključka našega večera, da pa se poslovimo ob glasbi, nam bo ansambl Klariton postregel z naslednjo pesmijo. Naši dragi Martin Maršič, John Nemec in Toni Hočevar nam bodo zaigrali še venček Mozartovih pesmi, imenovan Mozartove rumene rože. S tem pa se tudi midva zahvaljujeva vsem nastopajočim in organizatorjem, ki jih ne vidite na odru, pa so vseeno zelo pomembni, da je ta kulturni dan tekel lepo. Ne bi verjeli, koliko je v zadnjih tednih in mesecih naredila naprimer Julie Tromba. Še posebej pa se moramo zahvaliti patru Kumšetu, ki že vsa ta leta z vsemi močmi podpira slovenski kulturni dan pri Sveti Mariji v Nebozeti. Hvala.
We are at the close of our cultural evening, so let's end it with music with the ensemble Clariton. Our good friends Martin Maršič, John Nemitz and Tony Hochevar perform an arrangement by Michael Drapkin of a medley of Mozart melodies, The Yellow Rose of Mozart. We want to also thank the invaluable assistance of Julie Tromba for making this evening possible, and especially all our performers, and we hope that you'll join us again next year. But we do thank Father John Kumsi and my fellow parishioners of St. Mary of the Assumption Church here in Cleveland's Collinwood neighborhood for being such good hosts and letting us do this every year. After the program, we invite you to meet our special guests and celebrate your Slovenianness at the reception that follows. And don't forget, Kurentovanje Cleveland coming up. Thank you for attending, and please join us in celebrating Prešeren Day, our Slovenian Day of Culture. We have a reception set up for you. Thank you.